It was a quiet night, the kind where everything feels too still, like the world is holding its breath. I'd just come back from a long day at work, feeling exhausted and ready to collapse on the couch with a cup of tea. The apartment was empty, save for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the soft tick of the clock on the wall. That's when I heard the knock. It was soft, almost hesitant, like someone unsure whether they should interrupt my solitude. I opened the door to find two young girls standing on my doorstep. Their eyes were completely black, not a hint of white or colour in them, just voids that seemed to pull at me. They were silent, their expressions unreadable, but somehow they seemed familiar. "Can we come in?" one of them asked, her voice too calm for the situation. She was holding out her hand, and though it looked like any normal child asking for help, there was something in the way she said it that made me pause. I didn't want to let them in. I felt it. Every bone in my body screamed at me to turn them away. But their gaze was piercing, almost knowing. I felt an inexplicable weight pressing on me, urging me to act, to make the right choice. I can't, I said, my voice shaky. "It's late, and I don't know who you are." The girl didn't pull back. She simply nodded, as though she already knew my hesitation wasn't real. Her gaze flicked briefly to the other girl beside her, who remained completely still, her black eyes unwavering. "You do know us," the first girl said softly. There was no malice in her words, but something deeper, something older. She stepped forward, the faintest hint of a smile forming on her lips. "We've been waiting for you. A long time." I could feel the air around me shift. The pressure, the stillness. It was as if the world itself was holding its breath, waiting for me to make a decision. And in that moment, I felt the walls of my own home closing in. My feet felt heavy, like I was wading through water, but I couldn't bring myself to close the door. I hesitated, but then my hand moved. Slowly, I opened the door just wide enough to let them in. I didn't want to. I told myself I shouldn't, but I did. As soon as the door latched behind them, everything changed. The warmth of my apartment seemed to flicker, the lights dimming as if some unseen force had just shifted. The girls stepped inside, their black eyes scanning the room with unsettling curiosity. I felt a strange unease settle in my stomach, the kind that gnaws at you when you realize something isn't right, but you can't quite put your finger on it. One of them took a step forward, her small form moving with unsettling grace. The other girl remained near the door, her presence silent but constant. They weren't children, not anymore. I watched them move through the apartment, and it was as if they didn't belong in this space at all. The air grew heavy, thicker, like it was pushing against me from all directions. The walls seemed to pulse, the corners of the room darkening. I could feel the space itself shifting, warping in a way I couldn't explain. "You're here with us now," the girl whispered, her voice like an echo in my mind. "There's no going back." I turned, wanting to run, but my feet were rooted to the floor. The room had changed, stretched out in ways that didn't make sense. I couldn't breathe. I tried to scream, but the sound was lost, swallowed by the darkness that had begun to creep over me. The girls were watching me, their black eyes now glowing with something far older and more powerful than innocence. They smiled, and in that moment, I realized what they had really come for. This is no longer my home,